Welcome to Taking It Down, the TV and streaming podcast for the Alabama Take, which itself is a site for writings and other podcasts, all based here in Alabama, mostly, giving insight that you wouldn't expect from the Deep South, we hope. Today, we're answering the question of relevancy in relation to the recently finished HBO series Task. Do you need to watch it if you hadn't started it yet? Was it worth it if you did? What's it attempting to say? We'll also discuss the value of Chad Powers on Hulu, and we'll peek behind the blinds of the new HBO series, Welcome to Derry. I think we'll just call it Welcome to Derry.
I think we can handle that.
Yeah. You'll leave knowing if any of those are worth your time. I say we because joining me, you heard him, it's Donovan. Here he is.
Alabama Take Projection.
Back from the grave, really.
Really?
It was an intense Halloween.
Tell me about it, yeah.
But we're all here.
No Adam.
As I understand, I've been trying to piece together what Adam is up to, and my understanding is that his house just fell apart at some point, and he's been having to put it together piece by piece.
This is the first time I'm ever going to say this, but I really hope Adam doesn't listen because I don't really know what he's doing. Like, I get that he started with a kitchen remodel, but then, like, things escalated.
He had to take his floor out, and then he had to put his floor back in, and now they're putting in windows. I don't know. It's scary.
It's way above my pay grade.
Oh, absolutely.
We've had 2 weeks off, partly planned, partly not, for various reasons, some personal reasons. We're fine, though. Yet, still no Adam, who is both remodeling a kitchen from top to bottom and preparing the release of a full-length album with his duo, Sister Ray Davies, on Sonic Cathedral Records over in
Y'all
England.
go get yourself some damn headphones and listen to those songs that are out right now.
He's even starting to get people on Instagram playing those riffs and sending them to him like, hey, love it, kind of thing, like you would with if you're a fan of someone, you play their song on your guitar and you feel great.
Oh, it's so good.
Isn't that nice? Listeners can still pre-order Sister Ray Davies, that album, right now on Bandcamp or on Sonic Cathedral Records. Easy to find. Comes out this month because it's already November, Donovan.
Yeah, I know. I just got used to October.
October felt long for me, but I'll admit I wanted it to linger.
Yeah, I like a good October.
It was a good month.
Here we are with the ass end of fall, November.
That's okay, though.
It's got a holiday that no one gives a shit about.
Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I guarantee I'm going to get angry at my neighbors for putting up Christmas decorations in a day or two. Just driving around furious.
No, do it. I've accepted it. I've accepted it.
Nope, I'm still mad.
Hey, listeners, where are y'all with your Christmas decorations? Do they go up right after Halloween, or do you give some Thanksgiving time? Let us know. Some listeners may think we're excluding things this week, but in truth, despite our time off, we're woefully behind as TV critics. I'll rattle off some of the things I've been meaning to get to, and I think might be worth our time, but I've yet to do it. Apple TV has released Down Cemetery Road, which sounds intriguing. It's Emma Thompson, and if I'm not mistaken, she's playing a detective. It sounds intriguing, though. Apple TV usually gets high marks from us. Then we have the coming episodes of Blue Lights in its third season. That's massive. Mr. Scorsese on Apple TV again, which is supposedly a very fine documentary series. And there's also The Devil in Disguise over on Peacock, which has my interest. It is almost the antithesis of Ryan Murphy's true crime shows. The Devil in Disguise is about John Wayne Gacy, though attention is paid to the victims to the point where it makes it a very intriguing drama, from what I understand. There's more, but that's the biggest in the list. Now, what we'll go through today, let's do Chad Powers, let's do Welcome to Derry, and let's do our final thoughts on Task. We do start with non-spoilers, so you don't have to run away at all until the break, and then pick and choose which you've seen with the timestamps. I've mentioned Chad Powers on this podcast a couple of times, and Donovan, you finally got around to it.
So, my review of this series is it gets the solid and sometimes coveted better than it needs to be award.
So much better than you ever would have imagined.
Absolutely.
It's so good that I've told many people about this show.
There is. I'm really not going to have much smart to say about this because honestly, I think the thing that is keeping me watching is somehow Glenn Powell does something with his eyes and his face whenever he's about to have to say something insane.
Yes,
and it's hilarious.
Well, that's the thing. He never knows it's going to be insane until it comes out, and he's like, "That was insane."
There's like this look, but without really. I don't know how he's doing it, but he's got like this look of panic in his eyes almost. It's hilarious.
This is the Hulu series based off a sketch with Eli Manning from ESPN. Eli Manning was in disguise trying to join another football team as a stranger. It sounds like it should have gone nowhere, but Chad Powers just aired its final episode. Stars Glenn Powell, as we mentioned, as the titular Chad, a.k.a. Russ Holiday.
Russ Holiday.
2 roles. Hotshot quarterback of the very real Oregon Ducks, who has it taken all away in a series of idiotic moments in a national championship game. Now, Donovan, convince somebody that this show is more than what I just described. Because I know how I felt when I saw it advertised on social media primarily. It's more than a skit from ESPN. It's more than a regurgitation of Ted Lasso. What have you told people?
Ooh, that's a good. Well, honestly, mostly there's this look that Glenn Powell gets when he's first off a college football fan, especially as somebody who used to have access to the ESPN family of networks. I used to consider myself a college football fan, but now I can only watch Rutgers. But if you are a college football fan, just kind of the winks are fun. Like they'll have real announcers in for the games and stuff like that. We'll see. I haven't seen the last episode yet. There's a poignancy. I think part of this is like Glenn Powell is like calibers above any star like needed for this, right? Like they could have gone with somebody 2 or 3 tiers down in talent from Glenn.
Agreed.
But there's this real kind of sadness because Russ Holiday's kind of a Johnny Manziel figure.
Very much so.
And Chad is, although insane, is widely beloved for quote unquote who he is, and it's kind of making Russ, the real guy, a little psychotic. But it is sad because he seems to have not a lot of understanding of how his own actions have made people feel about him. Because of that, he's kind of out of control with Chad as well. So it's actually kind of sad.
Yeah, there is a sadness to that. Now that you mention it, it's not something I would have brought up. I'm glad you said that. Yeah, like I said, I've told a lot of people about this show, and I've encouraged them to watch it. Mainly college football fans. But let me say this. Here's my question. What's the appeal of this show for non-football fans? If you don't like football at all, or you just don't watch it, what are you going to get anything out of this?
Yeah, I don't think you'll get as much. I mean, if you don't, I don't know people's level of familiarity with like the current state of. If you just really don't watch college football, they're going to be talking about stuff that you don't care about.
I don't think there's a lot of that though. Not
a lot, not a ton, but a little bit. But if you just don't watch it, I think you could probably end up enjoying this as well. It's not like the premise is, like the premise kind of exists on its own, right? Like college football is the dressing, is the window dressing. But you could do this with anything.
I think so. Now to me it's icing on the cake that they get everything about college football right. I'll save some for spoilers.
Yes, they do.
But there's nothing, I was thinking just the other day, they haven't mentioned this thing about college football. And then it was in the episode I watched. So
it's it is fun. Like it feels like they went out and did their homework.
Yeah, well, it's produced by the Mannings.
Yes.
So it makes sense, and ESPN, so it makes sense. Without spoiling things, I'll say that this show it's genuinely funny. And I think that's what people who have no idea about college football, the jokes will land.
Yes, I think that's kind of what I meant when I said you could do the premise with anything. Like you just said, Blaine, like the jokes are the jokes, right? The joke is that he's in disguise and he has to, try and be anyone other than himself.
I was trying to put my finger on this idea that it's more than one note. The jokes are.
Yes.
But
I think so.
They do. There's a lot of them that revolve around he's trying not to reveal who he really is.
That look in Glenn Powell's eye, folks, that's so good. You're just going to put that in front of a camera. But
is your wife watching this with you?
She is, yes.
Big laughs from your wife?
Yeah, getting some good laughs, too.
That's great.
Of course, she likes college football.
Yeah,
so,
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's a big Penn State fan, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
R.I.P. To Penn State, that is. Honestly, what the jokes have like it is a situational comedy in a lot of ways, but the kind of like he kind of seems like he's going towards a full tilt psychotic break, and that is actually this sounds horrible to say, but that's actually really funny to watch as it gets up more and more out of Russ's control.
Yes, I did not know this going in, but Steve Zahn plays a key character, and I was pleasantly shocked to see him.
Yes.
He's so good.
It's a good cast.
Good cast.
Good supporting cast. Yeah, Steve Zahn is that was fun.
He does the best. He and the offensive coordinator do the best. Oh my God, you just said that reactions.
Yeah.
But the thing with this show is it has actual tension that goes beyond the one note. That goes beyond, oh my God, they're going to find out who he is. There's actual tension here. I think the stakes get raised every episode, and you just keep thinking, there's no way that he's going to continue this. And it kind of makes you a little anxious for both him and just you as a viewer.
I will say that another criteria for the better than it needs to be award is that even if you know what it's doing, it still makes you like and somewhat care about the supporting players as well. So I feel that way. Like there's a couple different things where it's like you said, Blaine, it's not just the one note. It's like, or maybe it's like we're understanding the deepening stakes of like, oh my God, what if this is revealed? And that's actually done, I think, pretty well through the supporting cast.
Yes, the aspects of the college football game aren't fiction. I think the acting's incredible. They sell the jokes. The jokes feel hilarious because the actors don't treat them like jokes, and they are ridiculous.
Yeah,
like he just said something really ridiculous where everybody normally would say, "Dude, that's not real," but they all treat it real.
The writing is making me laugh because like you have like you have jokes where he's like he comes up and starts using he gets so lost in what he's saying that he starts using blindside as a verb. as in the Michael Oher movie.
It was a very good moment. That's a good one. We're going to circle back around to Chad Powers in the spoiler section, and we'll dig into maybe some specifics. But 2 HBO shows on the docket today. This past Sunday, putting us a Sunday behind the world. Was it this past Sunday or 2 Sundays ago that they released?
I think it was 2 Sundays ago.
Okay.
For which one?
Welcome to Derry.
Oh, it would be, they released the most, let's see, episode 2 was Halloween. They released it early, so episode 1 was basically last week.
That's why I was confused. I didn't know that. So
yes, they pushed it out early. I think it's a Sunday night show.
It was the one opportunity I had to get ahead of the curve and not be the usual re-record on Sunday but release on Tuesday, and I didn't do it. So anyway, Sunday and Friday night, HBO's venture into Stephen King land with It, Welcome to Derry. It serves as a prequel to the two recent films, It Chapter 1 and It Chapter 2. I think the first one is just It.
I think you're right.
I do have faith in HBO adaptations of things, particularly maybe even Stephen King. I felt The Outsider was good television all the way through. This series, created, run by three of the people who had a lot of input in the two films, so fans could have a sigh of relief with that knowledge. I don't know much else about this other than I've seen the miniseries on ABC with Tim Curry as Pennywise, and I remember it very well, I kind of liked it up until the ending. I think everybody did kind of.
I think that was basically everyone hated the ending.
It just got silly. Now I don't know how these new ones pan out, and I'm itching to see them. I'm itching to carve out some time and watch them and kind of base it along with what I'm seeing in the show. But the show's a prequel. I think you could probably dive in without having seen those movies.
This is a complete side note, but I remember, or at least by the time I was old enough to remember seeing like books I think they still sell Stephen King at Walmart. Mm-hmm. The first It cover I can remember as a kid was with the Tim Curry poster it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Just, I had no idea what it was.
Yeah, Tim Curry, he nailed it. Very much nailed it. I don't know other things about this show other than it's 1962 in Derry, Maine, where the evil clown Pennywise stalks and kidnaps and kills kids.
Well, we have a fun Stephen King tie-in.
Go ahead.
Well, this might be for spoilers, but we get to see our old friend Chris Chalk is back. We last saw him in Perry Mason, and there's some connections to other Stephen King works.
Yeah, and I'm sure I'm going to miss them.
I'd read it somewhere, or I would have missed it.
Okay. Well, I was a fan of Stephen King as a kid. I read so many of his books back to back, read many of them twice, and then got into quote-unquote serious literature. And then I went back to him a couple of times for some Halloween scares and just didn't find it appealing. The writing, I don't think, is very good.
Somebody, and I wish I could remember who, because when he needs an editor. I think this is a common complaint. But somebody once described his novels. He's really not. If you read some of his more recent short stories, those are actually not too bad because he's put a limit on himself. But they were like, Stephen King has such faith in writing. Like, instead of revising, he just keeps writing. It's like the next sentence might be the one that saves it all. He just keeps going.
That's funny.
Yeah.
This show,
kind of true. I have nothing against Mr. King.
I really don't either. I think he's very good with characters. I think he's very good with relationships.
He can be. He's written some of his short fiction really still stands out for me.
Yeah. Sometimes I think his dialogue is really bad, and I think his endings are bizarre most of the time.
Yeah, endings are hard.
Endings are hard.
For lots of people.
Well, I've watched one episode of Welcome to Derry. You've watched the two, which
I watched two.
I didn't even know I could.
From the two episodes, I think what I've come to understand is that this is a show that dares to ask the question, do you like to scream?
Oh? I didn't.
You like a little spooky screamies?
I was surprised at how blatantly horror this show was.
Yeah.
I thought that would be, with it, HBO having their hands on it, they would add the drama. You've got to care for so-and-so so much.
Yes, I was actually pleasantly surprised. I think this is another thing that's like, it's as good as it needs to be. But I actually kind of like that if they jump kind of right into the pulp.
Yeah. It's pulpy, very good.
That's a thumbs up for me.
The novel, though, is almost a prototype Stranger Things.
Yes.
You got your confused kids, bewildering and nightmarish things happening to them in the town, and the fear of revealing it to any adult might be bad.
There's something in the second episode, not a big thing, but just a scene in the second episode where my brain was like instantly like, "Whoa, people are going to think they knocked off Stranger Things," but it goes the other direction.
It's the other direction. I found the premiere a little bizarre, a little disjointed to begin, but I did find it exciting. The pulse of the opening episode is very high. It's pretty nonstop. So at least I was interested, and I didn't want to pause it or do anything like that. I was engaged.
I was okay with not knowing everything because honestly, over-explaining can be a killer. At the end of the first episode, I thought, okay, like I'm enjoying this enough that I'm going to give you an opportunity to explain to me how these disjointed parts are connected, because at the end of the first episode, it's not necessarily evident. By the end of the second episode, I mean, you can probably, usually when something's on a TV show, it's there for a reason. I think by the end of the second episode, you can be a little bit more like, oh, okay, that's how they're going to try and pull that together.
Okay. I could see how the show, you probably answered this just now. I could see how the show could easily get off the rails or even just continue without worrying about answering everything. If that's the case, could be disappointing or not. I don't mind ambiguity, but I do think that there are certain things if you bring up, you just have to answer them.
Yes, I agree. For instance, one of those things being like, okay, why is this character here? Character X. What we're following them. Obviously, it has some meaning. Why are we paying attention to this character's story? If it never ties back in, you're going to feel, or if if it feels like there's no reason, it's going to feel pointless.
Yeah, I'm hoping it also has a lot more to offer throughout the rest of its episodes, other than kids often die, and that's really scary.
Yeah, it kind of worked for me. Not the dying, but the first kid who disappears. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a Stephen King thing, but just like a kid who was. It's really sad to me that there's a kid who's reaching out in various ways.
Yeah,
basically taken because his home sucks.
That's a very real horror.
It is. I mean, I think children die, obviously that's terrifying, but I do think that there's the horror of like, we see it every day. People whose homes create circumstances that end in tragedy.
Yeah. Not to get too grim here, but I think there's something about sexual predators seem to have a knowledge or a skill of picking out who has a rough home life and being able to use that against them.
That is true. This is at the forefront of my head just because of the Prince Andrew the former Prince Andrew headlines. But I remember Virginia Giuffre, the lady whose her memoir about Jeffrey Epstein came out, and I believe she unfortunately killed herself earlier this year. But she said, he was really good at picking the kids who, they'd come from bad places. Yeah. And that made them feel bad. And there's something like extra horrible about that. And I think that, I don't, because this is a prequel, I don't think it's too much of a spoiler to be like, the it is a thing that feeds on your fear. I think to have something like that attacking a kid like that is really kind of scary and insidious in a way that was like, it was good creature feature stuff for me, but there was also a little bit of like, oh, I feel this is poignant.
Okay.
Like this kid's lost. Kids get lost,
Interesting. But yeah, I'm going to stick with it for sure. Speaking of HBO too, finally we want to put a period on the end of the sentence as task, though our scheduling's caused us to miss conversations of the last two episodes. We'll just pick those up today. We don't want to spoil things on this side of the podcast, so there's no need to flee for the quarries for a swim just yet. Of course, Task is the acclaimed HBO show written and ran by Brad Inglesby. He did just as much with Mayor of Easttown on HBO. It's the Mark Ruffalo as an FBI agent show. He's trying to stop and arrest Tom Pelfrey's small group of house invaders. Before we get any further, I'm really floored that the series did not employ Frank Reynolds as a montage to point out he was behind all of this.
It's like, who is the mastermind pulling the strings from Philly?
Did the show reach the heights you thought it may? We thought it might?
I think it was pretty good. I think everything came together pretty well. I mean, I think maybe we'll have some conversation about how it accomplished things, but I think, much like Mayor, this was one that had more to stick around for than the crime, than solving the mystery. Or, well, that's not really a mystery, but, seeing how it plays out.
Yeah, the crime was barely part of it, it felt.
Yeah, we know what's going on.
In a good way.
Yeah.
I'd say the show encapsulated heart. It's a little odd to have a crime drama in 2025 so full of empathy.
Yeah.
You can have a series that's about detectives or murderers or cowboys or whatever, but then to have it be so transcendent and true, realistic, emotional center or heart, as I said. Task had it in spades, in my opinion. I'll break down why later.
I thought the last episode was really good.
So if you haven't watched Task, do so, then come back to the end of our episode today with the timestamps. That'll help you. Let's take a break, and we'll cover some of these in more detail. Y'all know it's a pain to follow a podcast, grow to love it, enjoy being a part of its community, feel like they're your friends for it to suddenly stop without a goodbye. That's what we try to avoid with all of our podcasts at the Alabama Take. And you can help. Click on Buy Me a Coffee on the Alabama Take site. Make any donation that you wish. And know you're now part of a community that helps out podcasts in the Alabama Takes family of podcasts. I'll include a link in the show notes for you. Or head to thealabamatake.com and click on Donate. Now back to the podcast episode where spoilers begin. Yeah, we'll return to our list, same order. And I can't wait. Because it's bringing us back around to Chad Powell. He is trying his best down in South Georgia.
You had mentioned this, just popping in here because it was something interesting, that there was a little bit of, kind of laughing at the not laughing meanly, but like at the acknowledgement of the football players who, at the end of winning every game, like, well, first off, I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, like he has anything better to do. The backup being the kind of kid who would have been baptized by Hugh Freeze, or the former starter, now the backup. It's hilarious to me.
Yes.
Every second of it.
He's quite creepy with his overzealousness.
Overzealous is probably the way to put it. So I do think that, and the reason I bring that up is I think there's a bit of a wink and a nod at us too. This knows the world that it's portraying for us,
Yeah. There's even the notion that college football and right-wing fundamentalism go hand in hand somehow. And that's acknowledged in this show.
We get some...
I mean, there's a George Soros show.
I was going to say, we get a really funny bit where she's, the booster, whose name I've forgotten. I have everyone pulled up. Trisha, who's the biggest booster.
Is she the biggest booster or the AD? I couldn't figure.
I thought she was the biggest booster, but I might be mixing it up. But, she says something about, it's media, it's George Soros. And Russ is trying to get out, or Russ as Chad is trying to get out of doing another interview. So he's like, I read something about George Soros. Like, it was so good.
He plays it so well as Chad. And then he has to turn it off to be Russ and be
Russ again.
Kind of normal, more Glenn Powell kind of guy, except maybe more of a jerk at times.
I think, everything you need to know about Russ is that over the course of the show, we know that he has a Cybertruck and he has a Truth Social account.
Oh yeah,
I think that's really that's it. And he hit a dying kid. So I think that's really all you need to know about him.
Yeah, punched the kid with cancer. So it's wonderful to pair him with his roommate, who is a openly gay guy, very funny,
and
he's the mascot.
The catfish.
The catfish.
As the coach tells him, it's not my business where a man hangs his hat.
Yeah, because they suspect Chad might have a thing for him, and Chad says, "No, we're related."
They blindsided each other.
Well, his family blindsided me. Well, my family did for him too. It's so funny. The things he's stuck in a moment and he's not smart enough to say anything that would make sense. And the funniest of those for me is, "Why aren't you showering?" And he says, "I got too big of a pee hole."
Yes.
I keep coming back to that one.
He does such a good job of seeming like someone who's inventing language as he's speaking it. Like literally, he has no idea what he's going to say either.
Yeah.
But
everyone has seen this on social media. Which I didn't find funny at first, but the more I think about it, it's so funny. When the very real ESPN anchor, Marty McGee, asked him, "Well, tell us more about you." And he goes, "I'm Chad."
That did make me laugh, actually.
And the first time I saw it as a preview, I thought, well, that's not that funny. When I saw it in the show, I was like, that's so funny.
In context, it's really good.
Because it's like you said, he has this smile and this look in his eyes like, please don't ask me anything else. Doesn't cover it.
This is more of the metafiction than the fiction, but I remain astounded that Glenn Powell is a part of this. Like, the man's a movie star.
He's a big star.
I'm looking forward to him. I hope it's going to be good. He's in a Stephen King Running Man. Edgar Wright's directing it. He's going to star in it. I think it could be awesome. This guy can he pulls in viewers, and we're what the hell is he doing here at this show? But he's great. He's the perfect choice for it.
He is the perfect. I hope that they're able to do more seasons.
I would enjoy seeing more because it is, I think that if it's done smartly, you can take stuff in new directions, right? Where the first season is kind of, one premise, one joke. Mm-hmm. But I think a good TV show can develop those in different ways.
The only thing I griped about, it felt too obvious that Steve Zahn's character, the coach, has a daughter who is also a coach on the team. And I just saw it coming that Chad/Russ would fall for her.
Well, of course.
But I did not see the twist of Russ sleeping with her mom by accident.
That was actually a very good one.
Yeah.
And Chad, a great Chad reaction where he cannot think of anything to say. So he's just like, "Is this all wood?" He just starts,
keeps tapping everything.
He just starts walking around.
That floored me. And I know probably viewers would have seen it coming, but not me.
I think, too, that this is a pioneering show because I am pretty sure that this is the first show to feature sex in a Cybertruck. I don't think it's been done before.
Well, first, and we hope last.
It's the sustainable truck of the future, Blaine. I hope there are more. I hope every car is a Cybertruck, and I hope they all get to have sex.
And they pull surprises you wouldn't imagine. Steve Zahn's character has a heart attack. I didn't see that coming. It's just things like this.
He's so good as that coach, though. Steve Zahn, I mean, like.
And the would you call it a filler episode when they travel to, yes, the very real Tennessee, Knoxville, and they have to try to recapture his makeup, glue, and they end up with a gun. It's just like all of that is antics and filler, but it just works. It was just fun.
It made me laugh, right? Like, because you've got like what depths are they going to sink to for this? Like, they've got this Tennessee fan who's like trying to reconnect with his dead father through his game day makeup and just trying to get the clue from him.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. There's a lot of things that work well for this show.
Yeah,
despite the one little storyline that's a little predictable and silly, but it gets these things right. it gets college football right, every aspect.
Yes,
they
it
even
does.
talk NIL.
Yes, yes.
He's living in a nice place because of NIL.
He gets a boosted apartment,
And I love
he's
it.
doing better.
Okay, so they get that right. They get everything about college football right. The jokes are genuinely like funny, like It's Always Sunny kind of funny.
Yeah,
And the third thing is the characters all seem real without being too silly. Other than Chad.
which I was gonna say, which sounds crazy.
The fact
I
that they
think that-
believe what he says is, which they don't, but the fact that they just take it is just killer.
They have to. I do love that. This was something I was thinking of too, because it is also to me realistic that like if you're a major SEC program, I think we're supposed to believe that they're major. They could. If you're an SEC program and a guy with a golden arm shows up, tells you he's been homeschooled, you're just going to be like, I hope he has 3 years of eligibility and get him on that field, because like they're not going to look into that.
Anything to get into play.
Exactly.
That is a truth.
Exactly.
Ask as little questions as possible.
And it really is a good dynamic with, like you said, none of them are too ridiculous except Chad. Mm-hmm. But yes, because they don't kind of want to look too deeply into who or what Chad is. They all just kind of have to accept it.
Does it make you laugh that he's from West Virginia?
Yes.
Something about that
Very
makes
much.
me like, that is honestly a genius move on Russ, the character of Russ, because you really can't find out much about people from West Virginia.
He was homeschooled.
Yeah. They get the idea that there's a lot of right-wing politics involved in all of college football. That's brought up
Absolutely.
a couple times. So they're just
the
nailing
politics and the money are interesting, because they're not like very obvious, but it's like you said, like, oh, he got bumped up into a better house. It's there. It's part of it.
Right. Yes, they don't spend a storyline on.
No.
Oh, this is the NIL episode. Yeah, but they put it all in there. That's good. I really love this show.
There's a joke it's from the most recent episode I saw, so it's probably fresh in my brain.
Which is the penultimate.
But there's a bit where he's trying to sign a football, and he starts signing his own name. And to make up for that, he just starts scribbling in Sharpie all over this football. Explains that's how he does his signature. And then the kid is like trying to take the ball from him, and he's like, just a minute. Not that. Now
might have to get another Sharpie.
That was a good joke.
The voice, I mean, it's good stuff.
The voice is hilarious.
I'm a
Glenn
big
Powell,
fan of
I
the show.
salute you.
Big fan of the show. And it doesn't hurt that I also like college football. I think a lot of people,
absolutely.
I think a lot of people would get some out of it, even if they weren't football fans.
Again, the better than it needs to be. I think this is my better than it needs to be award of the year.
Absolutely. And like I said, I've said it 2 or 3 times now. I have, off the podcast, recommended it to about 4 or 5 different people.
Yeah.
And just been like, you're going to love it when you get to this one joke. Let me know. It's the pee joke. The pee hole.
It's the way he says it.
Yeah, it's the pee hole joke that gets me.
So good. So good.
Probably quick little breakdown on some thoughts of Welcome to Derry. I've only seen the premiere, and Donovan's seen 2, and that's really all that's out anyway at the time of our recording. So we'll talk briefly about those. Let's see what we got. So what do you make of the 2-headed eyeless one-wing baby?
Man, that thing is gross.
It's crazy, right? So that's supposed to be Pennywise in its initial form?
I think that it's a manifest, because it's a thing that makes you afraid, right? So I don't know if that simply is it all by itself, or if I think the whole thing is the fear creature.
When you say the whole thing, what do you mean?
Like the family, the car,
family.
Everything. I think it's all part of it, of it.
Yeah, I had a hard time figuring out that scene.
Oh, that was great for me. It just goes to creepy so fast.
It went to creepy. It was good, but I suppose this is my brain wanting too many answers, and I was like, wait, Well, then who's the dad? What's the mom? Wait, did they give birth to Pennywise? Is this and I guess they're all the entity of evil, right?
It's a thing that manifests as what makes you afraid, right? There's things that can scare you. So we're going to see it in a lot of different forms. And, I'm kind of like, oh, it's basically like an extra dimensional being that feeds on your fear. Fine. I can accept that.
And it can take the shape of many beings at once.
It can.
Okay.
It can. I think so. Also, my other notice is those are the meanest fucking kids in the world. Once we find out that girl's dad was killed in a pickle jar related accident and they filled her hot locker full of pickle jars.
Pretty cruel. 1962, you didn't have the internet to go on and make fun of people, so
I'd be fine if some of those kids got eaten.
The big thing I think everyone took away, a lot of viewers took away if you go online, is that it looked like this was going to be the crew of kids in a standard It story. You got a crew of kids who have been disregarded or picked on, and it felt like this was going to be them, but instead they kill off all but two of them.
If, in fact, they're dead.
That's a good point.
But, yeah, pretty gruesome stuff.
I think everyone online were pretty shocked by that.
I say takes a left turn pretty quickly.
So do you like it? Is it good?
Yeah, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
I liked 2 episodes, thought it was pretty good. Initially, so we have the figure of the Air Force major.
That's what's getting me. That's the disjointed part.
So that, for me, too, I was like, okay, well, I don't really know how this is tying in. But this is pretty good. I assume it matters. And then you'll figure it out by the time episode 2 rolls around, and we get a little bit more of our friend Chris Chalk as Dick Halloran, who I'm an idiot. I would have never noticed it. That's the guy from The Shining, the cook that recognizes that Danny has The Shining. And apparently, Dick Halloran is really in the original It novel as kind of like a side character. This is apparently faithful to...
Huh.
Yeah, so that's who, yeah. So he's got psychic powers.
Okay. Well, he must be important because Chris Chalk's playing him. You pick up on him, and then, of course, he gets those extra seconds of glances in his screen time.
It definitely is like, right, like it's like, oh, the guy in the background whose name I know, like whose real life name I know, that guy might be important.
Mm-hmm. Another concern I have is that they throw in really heavy issues, and I don't know if they're handling them as well as they could.
I see. Yeah.
The racism part, especially with the major, he has one guy who does not salute him out of racism, and I'm just thinking there probably should be a little bit more to this. There's maybe it will happen in episodes 3 through whatever, but if you're going to do that, I feel like you need to have a certain hand weaving it in and out, and not just bring it at one time and go, "Yep, see, 62 people are racist."
I think that the second episode might alleviate some fears.
Okay.
I'm not sure. We'll have to see how you think it's handled, but it is not just mentioned once.
And I realize I shouldn't bring expectations like this to shows. I should let them show me what they have and then judge. Mm-hmm. But I really hope it has something to say about childhood and the fears we have at that age of being a kid. Whether we're coming from dysfunctional houses or not.
Yeah.
This is a perfect opportunity to do that.
Being based off of Stephen King, it feels like the kind of, if they have any kind of understanding of the thematic resonance of it, they will. Because it's scary to be a kid.
Yeah, it is. It's the scariest time, and it's perfect for horror. It's perfect for this. Yes, I've watched it many years ago, and it felt like it kind of did some of those things well, if I remember. But I mean, with a series, you could really go. So hard to judge with only one episode. You've got the 2. We'll see. We might bring it back up too here if it does some of these things and it has things to say. It could. It's perfectly set up to do that.
Yeah.
Will
This
they
is
take
where
advantage of it, or will they just try to scare us? That's the thing.
this was where my assessment that it might just be as good as it needs to be.
Yeah.
It could be though, because it could transcend, but it might not. I don't know.
I was really excited that it landed when it did on TV a couple of weeks before Halloween, and that kind of had me pumped, at least, because we usually have something Halloween specific that
Yeah.
we
It's like,
invited.
finally. There wasn't a lot this year.
Well, speaking of finally, we'll wrap up our specific feelings, thoughts on the drama Task from HBO, Brad Inglesby. Mainly the final 2 episodes, though. That latest episode might get a lot of discussion here. The penultimate episode, it was the 6th, was titled Out Beyond Ideas of Wrongdoing and Right Doing, There is a River. That's a mouthful.
And there was indeed a river.
The final episode's called A Still Small Voice. I want to talk about those titles. I'm bringing them up for a reason. That penultimate episode, Out Beyond Ideas of Wrongdoing and Right Doing, it's a bit of a misquote. It's actually, there is a field in the actual text, not a river. It comes from an opening to a poem from ancient Persian poet Rumi.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You familiar?
I didn't pick up on. I know Rumi. I didn't pick up on that.
The poem's called A Great Wagon. I suppose the idea is that there's more than just good and bad in the world. You can't bifurcate the world like that. There's more than right and wrong, I guess. That's a real simplistic breakdown. But it's also about spaces of love and understanding that exist outside of being human.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a powerful stuff. I feel like that this episode even conveyed some of that.
Yeah, I think it did. It was this episode, the penultimate one. This was very tense, and there was some things that it was like, oh man, you can kind of see what's going to happen here. But I felt that it was, it was on it like it was a good tragedy, honestly.
Yeah,
with what between, and it's like, oh, okay, that's why we have Grosso and Elizabeth, kind of almost being a thing.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was a fantastic episode. I don't think I can mention this long episode title without talking about the scene where Ruffalo almost reverts back to his priesthood while Robbie dies in his lap.
Yeah.
Such a poignant piece of filmmaking, I thought. Scenes like this run into the possibility of being too saccharine with the flashback images they overlaid on it. But here, I thought it was very skillfully done.
If you do it right, there's sometimes Terrence Malick will kind of do things like this, where he'll almost like in The Thin Red Line, he'll put in the shots of nature as a counterpoint. And I do think if you do it right, it's really good. You can it's almost like a good shorthand for we're so much bigger than what's just right there in front of you, right? Every single one of us is made up of feelings and thoughts and experiences and memories.
And we're all a part of nature, whether we like that idea or not.
We're all a part of nature. We're all a part of each other. I think there's a really kind of woo-woo way to look at that. But I think, especially with continuing climate catastrophe, I think some of us are starting to understand the ways that we're much more deeply connected than we thought we were.
And the show didn't look away from those things. That's kind of where it was focusing.
Could have been preachy. Wasn't.
It wasn't. It didn't hurt that Tom Pelphrey looked genuinely dead. He looked as dead as anyone I've seen an actor.
Yeah, because that scene was so good, and Mark Ruffalo plays it so well. And I had kind of been wondering, we've got Robbie, and Tom, and they intersect, but in a lot of ways, Tom's life is also on a parallel track with the other to this, with everything else going on in his life. And I think this might possibly be there a kind of a clue to why do Tom and Robbie intersect the way they do. Like thematically, I mean, or for the show. Obviously, it's all a fiction, right? So things are done with intentionality. Somebody had to make it happen, I mean.
It was an odd penultimate episode. It was long, and the pacing...
It was long.
The pacing was kind of weird, where you had the first half of action and death, and then the back half was resolution. And as a viewer, you knew you were still getting another episode.
Yes.
Like Grosso versus Tom in those final moments. It's almost like you almost could have ended it there and went with the idea that, okay, well, we know Grosso will be arrested, and that's that. It's almost like a true denouement that you don't get.
Yeah.
Like Inglesby was saying, we really are going to tie up every end so that, there's nothing else to think about. But it's done well.
It is done well, especially with that last episode. I think part of what made it good for me is there was a lot of stuff set up throughout the series that I think was touched on again. Kind of, and especially ideas of like coming home or returning, in a way that Robbie couldn't.
Yeah, a bit of salvation or redemption.
Yep.
Totally oddly paced penultimate episode.
Very odd. Almost like a little mini movie. In parts.
I totally loved it. Throw the formula out the window. Just make the show you want to make.
It was great. We still get some tension.
Yeah, you do. The formula isn't completely thrown out the window.
Exactly.
Because you're left with the cliffhanger of Tom leaving Grosso's house as if to say they're going to have some conflict in the next episode. When Lizzie gets hit by Jason and Perry in the truck, I'm not so sure the series wanted us as viewers to be affected by her death, but what we needed was to care that Grosso was affected by it.
Yes.
And I think that's a little different.
You hate when there's a woman character who's just like, the reason they died is so that a man will feel something. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like that's 100% fair here, but I do see how people could think that. But there was a little bit with her of like, she's braver than she thought she was. She's braver. I agree with you, not in a bad way, that like it's really important for you to understand that Grosso can't live with this.
Two quick things before we move to the ending of the show as a whole. Tom and Grosso's final scene in this episode, very well done. Grosso asks about forgiveness, and Tom gives that very thoughtful response that forgiveness isn't about God, it's about the person, so the person can move on. That's something to think about long after the show's ended. And I still don't know if I have my head wrapped around it. And the other thing is, Tom brings home Sam.
Yep.
And that's likely, I suppose, but it still made me feel great about humanity and led me to realize that, well, oh yeah, damn it, chickens are birds too, but they just aren't birds that can fly. And birds seem to be a motif throughout. Well, they can't fly any further than a tree limb.
Yeah, not a lot.
What's the usage of the chicken? Well, with Sam being so drawn to the one friendly chicken, he's the bird that won't be flying very far. And it's a sad, though, he gets an okay ending. Sam is that bird.
An okay ending.
Sam is that bird. He can't move far without help. At least not yet.
That's the poignant thing, right? Is that what you just said, basically, that like he's just like this, he's just this sweet kid.
What a sweet kid.
And the sweetest people we know are sometimes the most at the mercy of the world.
This is a heavy show. The final episode I mentioned, called A Still Small Voice, wraps up all the stories. The title could allude to the idea that God speaks to people in a still small voice, or
yep,
it could even allude. Now, I might be stretching. It could even allude to a 2023 documentary of a chaplain who must look within to tend to certain patients. And both of those very much sound like the nature of task.
Yeah, I thought too, the still small voice is from a certain Bible translation. But also, I thought it could also be your conscience, and that it might be hard to tell the difference.
That's true.
When it comes down to it.
It is. Back to nature, plenty of beautiful scenes in the natural world here. It's fascinating to note, and I'll say it here, the only one shot in the darkness of nature is the revelation of Erin's body and its discovery. She's floating at the top of the water in the quarry where Perry had drowned her. There are shots in the dark at night, but it's mostly with cars, with a bar or
exterior of the house, something like that. Yeah.
Here it was a very much a nature scene, but in the dark. I thought that was probably purposeful.
I think so. Deeds done in darkness are brought to light. That kind of thing.
And who knew Grosso's sister is the same actor to play the girlfriend in Stick?
I know. She showed up. I'm like, hey, I know who that is.
Yeah. Great to see her, albeit too briefly. She makes perfect sense as a Grosso family member. Good casting. Yeah. The writing makes perfect sense that Grosso would want to confess, and that he was taking money from the bikers for family. I think it fits with every motif the show established previously.
Yes,
the opening image,
he slips right in.
Yeah, that opening image is Robbie putting his son to bed. People are doing things for family, wrong things. If this is a show about families and parenting, the bikers are parents in their own way who kill, but Tom has a family with a son who's committed murder too. So, and not just any murder; it's matricide. So who's better?
Right. It did occur to me that the bikers, the gang, is a family of people who are not related by blood. And Tom's family is a family of people, some of whom are not related by blood. It's a made family. It's a built family.
Mm-hmm. So true. So many mirrors and similarities, I suppose. Motifs, I suppose.
Yeah. I felt like this episode really was one of those that it kept me asking the whole time about the Robbie and Tom storylines. Asking to myself. The show wasn't asking any questions, just asking myself, like, how did Robbie change Tom? Because I think that Robbie did change Tom. And I thought that this episode, being at the end of the series the way it was, it benefited from a whole lot of just kind of like delivery of what the show had been talking about the whole time.
I agree.
And I do think that besides it being obviously like it's a crime, it's a good way to keep things moving, to have like a crime show. I do think that Tom was changed or brought back to himself, either changed or part of him kind of returned.
Yeah. A lot of shows you think that the person that deserves to kill the bad guy, you think, oh, I can't wait for them to go head to head and kill the bad guy. Here, in this case, it happens in an expected manner, as Grosso, maybe an unexpected manner is what I meant to say. Grosso should have already been dead, probably. I was a little confused about how Harper, the daughter, got what she was doing out there, how she helped him pull off the revenge shot of killing Jason.
I couldn't tell you. I know exactly the scene you're talking about because she does something and then he shoots. It didn't matter for me. I was like, I understand what happened here.
Viewers could gripe that Grosso's almost a redemption story is too pat, but that he was deep in his Catholic religion, and the writers set that up from the very beginning, more than any other movie or show has done in a while. Mm-hmm. This is what he believes, and then redemption is so huge in that.
Someone who's been like raised in a certain religion where that like symbols and ideas almost become primal or archetypal. So for instance, the confessing of sins, he asked Tom if he ever gave penitence and, things like that.
It's well blended. Big ideas about parenting, family, forgiveness, and redemption. I don't even think it had one too many storylines for 7 episodes.
Nah, it kind of all came out right in the end, I think, as far as the structure of it. There were a couple in the middle where I was like, oh, well, we'll just have to see how it plays out. But that last one really wrapped them up.
Yeah.
Pretty well.
It didn't really leave anything too implied or ambiguous. It could have and still been good, but it didn't.
I think what is more interesting, it's not that things are necessarily ambiguous. It's that by the end of the episode, a lot of characters, especially Tom, are taking a big step. And we don't know how that's going to turn out. Mm-hmm. And of course, we'll never know. But that's that's the question that it leaves us with.
Tom gives the speech in the courtroom for his adopted son who shot and killed his wife.
I thought he pushed her down the stairs. Writing. Yes, it is. And very real life resonant, honestly, talking about a medicine not being available during COVID. That, I have a before and after with a medicine that I take. I didn't kill anyone, but it made a difference for me. That's really a fear of mine, kind of a basic fear, is that if this medicine is taken away, I won't be able to live in the way that I want to live. So that's just a side note, but it really spoke to me. And then, of course, I'm glad we talked about the prodigal son earlier, because this is really, Tom is the father who as I mentioned the last time I talked about it, in the prodigal son, the son says, okay, I'm going to go home and I'm going to say, Dad, I've sinned against heaven and I've sinned against you. And in some churches, some church traditions, that's actually something you can say right before penance, right? But it's something that in the story of the prodigal son, the son says to himself, I'm going to say this. But the story goes, while he was still a long way off, his dad saw him and he raced out to get him. And the son never says to his father, I'm sorry, I've sinned against you. And his father never asked for it. And so I think that kind of the way, that it's a very dramatic way to do it. But, to turn to Ethan and say, like, I forgive you and I love you and you have a place in my house is that kind of like, and that's a pretty big change for him to go from, I can never forgive him, I can't even visit him in prison. And I think that honestly, the interaction with Robbie, I think that scene, in my opinion, the scene in the car is crucial. Because he tells Robbie that he can still come home, and Robbie doesn't. He died with Tom. And so it's really powerful to see, in other ways too, like he has good things happening in his life. But I think it was really that this idea of coming home became resonant.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was excellent.
I think it's hard for our culture to get into the idea that one incident doesn't define your life.
Yeah, that too. Is it Brian Stevenson who said, I believe he's, everyone is more than the worst thing they ever did? Mm-hmm. I believe that's one of his lines, and I think there's some truth to it.
I do too. Yeah, Tom's admission of forgiveness and love hits that much more powerfully since his son is adopted. It shouldn't, but it's a deeper and a truer form of love, a pure form of love, not the natural sort that a mom might feel upon giving birth or
the kind where you're like, well, you're, like if you bring it to like a very biological thing, like, well, we share some genes, so I'm going to make sure that you survive. Mm-hmm. There's none of that, which, like you said, there's almost an extra power to choosing to love a child.
The show too dares to ask a question here. Do we do good things to make us feel good, or do we do good because we know it makes others feel good?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think especially, at the end where Tom has to give up Sam, and that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's hard.
And I think it's a really good question too, because I do think that there is an aspect of like doing good, truly helping others. Like it does make you feel good. And in my opinion, that's not selfishness. That's like we're I think was it Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. called it the web of mutuality. We're like doing good feels good because good is good for you, in a way that bad is the opposite. And that's very black and white, of course, but I do think some of that's there. And so I think that the priest coming there, I think there is nothing wrong with Tom coming to life a little bit with Sam and loving Sam.
Yeah.
And taking care of Sam. And so I think that his friend, the priest, coming in and kind of drawing this distinction, and then Tom is able, sacrifices. I think that's important because it's like probably either thing would be some degree of good, a better outcome for Sam. But Tom really has to be unselfish. And I think in the long run, that makes Tom better.
And you get Tom and Sam out in nature as Tom teaches him about beets, getting their hands in it there.
We got the Phillies Cup turned into a
oh yeah, what a nice
for the birds
image. Inglesby's really good with final images.
I was thinking the whole time that this really paralleled Mare in the sense that it was like it all came down to that ending that the character kind of earned. Mm-hmm. Or we, the viewers, kind of with the character, as Mare is finally able to go to the spot in her house, the attic, and then this one.
What do you make of that final shot where Tom's window for birds is incredibly small?
But we say all these different things too. In many traditions, even like Southern folk traditions, birds are spirits, birds are souls. Mm-hmm. I think there's that was my understanding of that. Mm-hmm. It's a window, right? And we see, nature.
That's good. Well, that's the end of our episode. Hope you got something out of it. For Adam and Donovan, I'm Blaine, and we hope you're looking at a beautiful window. See you next week.